Good morning. Amidst all the darkness, there's so much light. And our job is not to focus on the negativity, on the darkness, on the pain. Of course, the pain is there and it's real and it's worrisome. But we have to focus on the positivity and use it as a springboard to be able to do more positivity and bring more light and be united even stronger. You know, I heard this story about this commander from the Yahalom unit. His name is H. It was in the Yediot Achronot, Israeli newspaper. And he was a specialist on maritime warfare and on tunnels and defusing landmines and things like that. And his unit brought him a gift that he went for his lifelong dream to climb Mount Everest. Well, while he was at Mount Everest, October 7th happened. And at that moment, he realized he had to stop climbing. He was 3 days in, but he had to get back to Israel. The problem was that the weather was terrible in the only airport near Mount Everest, the Kula airport. And the only way for him to get back was he chartered a helicopter to take him to a different airport so he could get back to Israel. Where in the world do you hear a story like that? Or where in the world do you hear a story of citizens flying back to harm? Think about it. Israel's under a rocket constantly. So many Israelis are in wartime, yet plane loads and plane loads of people have been flying back to go be there for their country. You hear these remarkable stories, and it really dates all the way back to this week's Torah portion. Abraham, the first Jew, gets the message from God. God calls him, Vayomer Avram, Avram. God calls Abraham, Abraham. What does Abraham answer? Vayomer Hineni. He says, I am here. Tell us the rabbis that these words, Hineni, that Abraham says to God, is the story of the Jewish people. Whenever we are called upon, we don't hesitate. We say, Hineni, we are here, we are ready. Through the challenges, through the struggles, we never cease to fight, to bring light, to stand up for our values, for our truth. God tells Abraham, Vayomer Avram, Avram. God says, Abraham, are you here? And he says, Hineni. And then later on, his son Isaac turns to him and says, Dad. And Dad says again, Hineni. We're always there. We're there to represent God in the world, to fight the true fight. And then we're also there to protect our children, to stand there to make sure that our children have a better future. And that's what Israel is doing right now. It's not about proportion back for what happened. It's not about deterrence. It's about making sure that this never happens again, about eradicating an evil that could do so much harm. But there's a third time we hear the word Hineni. And that's the story of Moses with the burning bush. And the rabbis say when Moses sees the burning bush and God calls him out, Moses, Moses, and Moses says, Hineni. And the rabbis say that the burning bush was a metaphor to the struggles, to the challenges, to the infernos that the Jewish people will deal with. And even though Moses saw this, he didn't run away from the burning bush, but he came closer, he stepped and took a few steps. The Torah says that he turned his head to look and he moved towards it. And when God saw at that moment that Moses was not running away from the challenge, but was ready to take it on, that's when God called him out with love. And that's when Moses said, Hineni, I am here, I am ready. That's been the story of the Jewish people. You look at all these remarkable human beings. You look at the 350,000 reservists who are on the front line. You look at the mothers of the children who are staying home and making sure their children are okay. You look at our Jewish community. Look at Boston. You take just Boston for an example. The CJP has raised $50 million for an emergency fund of direct funds to send straight to Israel. There's been 3 weeks straight of every day the community coming around at the IAC and packing suitcases to go to Israel. There's been rallies. There's been events. Just this Saturday we had Congressman Jake Arkenschloss, who's our congressman, who came to speak to our community. Nearly 200 people showed up, and he started his talk by saying, I come to you as a Jew, as a Zionist, not just as a member of Congress, but also as a Jew and a Zionist and a father. That's been the story of the Jewish people. Whenever there's adversity, whenever there's challenge, whenever there's struggle, we say, Hineni, I am here. I am ready not to run away, but ready to face the inferno, ready to face the burning bush, and to remember the promise that God made to Abraham that the Jewish people will continue. So, my friends, take this to heart. Let's do more Torah, more mitzvot. Let's continue to strengthen our Jewish identity, our Jewish unity, our support for our brothers and sisters. And let's remember that we will prevail. As we stand now, there's thousands of ground troops of the Israeli Defense Force in Gaza, splitting the Gaza city from the north and looking for each of those terrorists, those ISIS members, to eradicate them. And we will. And the day will come when the lamb will lie with the wolf, and we shall turn swords into plowshares. But before that, we must eradicate the evil. Have an awesome day.